Easy guys, welcome back to Chaz's No Bullshit Reptile Advice, episode 22 I believe. We're still knocking them out. I know that we've been on a bit of a political tip, but shit keeps happening in this hobby that throws me curveballs and I've got to sort of address it. So I know for the Americans and Canadians, you might not particularly find it interesting, I'm sorry, but you know, there's shit afoot that's pretty serious in the UK hobby and it needs talking about. I'm certainly not the most experienced keeper, but I've been around a bit and I've seen certain stuff happening before, so that's why I offer my opinion on some of the shit that I see happening, because I just don't think that it's just straightforward as people would have you believe, and that there are games being played and there's issues afoot and there's lots of nefarious shenanigans, and you've got to call people out on it. You can't just let it slide. But we'll get back to normal service. So, Paul Phillips, I have a question. What is your opinion on breeding together different localities or subspecies, i.e. jungle, coastal, Irian, Jaya, carpet pythons? I'm not sure it feels quite right to me, and I wondered if there were any pros or cons to it. Having an Irian Jaya carpet python from Snakes and Adders, I have toyed with the idea of pairing her up. I have kept more snakes in the past, but never bred, and now focus on breeding delicate, intermediate, advanced level lizards, but always wanted to do snakes too. Are carpets overbred, or are they a good one? Or indeed a good place to start, and do you have any other recommendations? There's a lot to chew on there, Paul. It's a good question though, and it's one that we've got to think about. I have to think about that immediately. I've not made any notes, but I immediately want to go back 20 years where carpet pythons were crossed. You couldn't always rely on getting jungles or Irians or coastals, and there was a thing for crossing jungles and coastals and all the rest of it, and it was just kind of accepted. It wasn't seen as some nefarious act of devil worship. But the truth be told, I sit and think about it now and it turns my hair white, you know, because there's no need for it. Best way for me to describe this. Okay, so diamonds are an absolute arsehole to breed. Diamond pythons, whether it's UV radiation, half freezing them to death, they're really complex and tricky. You introduce jungle python to that breeding mix, and then suddenly all those complications seem to disappear. So you can get an almost as pretty diamond python that's a hybrid with the jungle, which has got that high intensity yellow and black. And make a fantastic looking snake that doesn't have all the species specific idiosyncrasies that the pure diamonds, Morelia spilota has. By introducing Morelia spilota chaini, you relieve some of those idiosyncrasies that we can't get our heads around. Females dying in subsequent litters, eggs being infertile, just the complications for brumation, working counterintuitive to the way that we keep a lot of standard pythons. So yes, they're incredibly complex and therefore problematic. So back then, diamond cross jungle was actually relatively common, and people just couldn't get hold of the diamonds, not with any regularity, so the nearest option they had was a jungle. It's probably where it started, but then subsequent generations they worked out actually weren't as tricky to breed. And I'm now referring to the late 1990s to early 2000s. So I think about that. I think about my personal collection up at the old shop in Leeds. I had what's called a Reticules python, which was produced by a guy called Jerry Cole, and that was a Borneo bat eater, which is a hybrid of a retic and a berm, backbred to a berm, and that was a feat in and of itself, because for a long time, particularly back then, they thought that all the baby Borneo bat eaters were Jaffas because of the species cross. By Jaffa I mean shooting blanks, incapable of reproduction, and the fact that Jerry managed to do it back to the berms. So I had one of those, a Reticules, and I look back at those photos and he was an interesting looking snake. But if I was then to approach it with my 2018 mentality, should that snake have ever existed? No. But I know, if I'm got the benefit of hindsight and I am honest with myself and I'm honest with you, which I desperately try to be all the time, is my 23, 24-year-old self would have stood and argued the toss with me. Not just because he was 23 or 24 and a complete tail, which he was. That his opinion based on what he felt to be, and I know that my opinions have changed as time has gone on. So take, for example, one of your intermediate advanced level lizards that you're breeding. You've got 2 subspecies. Now, these subspecies individually are worth X, Y, or Z. There's an interest in reproducing them, learning about them, understanding them. But you've only got a male from one and a female from another. Maybe you've lost one. Maybe one died in like egg laying or whatever. Would you hybridize them? I'm willing to bet that the answer is no. And the answer would be the same now for me to offer that opinion for the carpets. I would keep them as pure Irians. The other caveat to your question is, are carpet pythons overbred? Yes, many species are overbred. As a first attempt at breeding, I struggle with the fact that if I put the brakes on everybody on the basis that it's overbred, then will people even attempt to breed, to cut their teeth or try? Producing animals and getting eggs and incubating eggs and getting them to hatch varies in complexity. So to try it with, a not particularly difficult species such as an Irian jay would be fine. Then you try it with maybe a Woma or a blackhead, you're potentially going to have problems because there's idiosyncrasies to the way that the eggs are incubated. Green tree pythons are the same. So I've got no problem with you cutting your teeth, but I think potentially you would struggle to get short of them. I think that they are overbred. I think carpet pythons shed value at a ridiculous rate because they're so prolific. The people who initially invested in the Bredli, which are the Centralian carpets, I've very rarely seen prices fall as quickly because people would buy them, raise them, get them breeding. They'd just click and lay and they'd hatch. There was just the complications weren't there. They were pretty much bomb proof. As a result, as being a victim of their own success, the prices fell to the point where they're ridiculously low. For example, in the shop today, we had an Irian that's just sold, and we've got baby corn snakes that are the same price as it. If you'd have spoke to me 20 years ago and said that an Irian giant carpet python would be selling for the same price as a mid-level corn, I'd have laughed you out of town. No way, no way. But that's the way that this hobby changes. Things move on, things change. Don't cross it. Don't cross it. If you enjoy keeping it as a pet, keep it as a pet. If you're already in tune with intermediate and advanced level lizards, then really breeding snakes, actually, it's going to be less complicated for the most part. And you won't find it a challenge. If you're managing to coax specialist, shy, secretive lizards that are delicate and really tuned into the environment and what's going on around them, and you're getting successful, viable eggs from them, then snakes will be a piece of piss. I really wouldn't worry. And I would be more inclined to advise you to pick something that not only PKs your interest, but you are almost by definition of being slightly more sought after, slightly more left field, you would be able to sell the babies. So if I said Chihuahua Mountain Kings, Desert Rosy Boas, Trans-Pecos rat snakes, and I mean these are captive bred, you can get them, they're fine. It all depends. I mean, if they're intermediate or even advanced delicate species, they won't be cheap. Depends what your budget is, but rare but not necessarily more complex. Black pine snake, the speckled kings, cool. King rat snakes, stinking goddess, one of my favourites. I mean, if you produced those, they would go. They would go because people always clamour for that left field stuff. The carpets are fabulous next step snakes, but they're nippy, aggressive, bitey little shits when they're babies, and selling them to people poses a challenge because of that reason. They're not always willing to calm down immediately. It takes time, sometimes upwards of 12, 14 months for them to finally calm down. So if I present little Billy with a carpet that's just biting the shit out of my finger end, are they going to want it as a beginner pet? Bear that in mind. There's nothing wrong with aggressive snakes, or even bitey snakes, or snakes that are a bit temperamental, just not maybe for selling on in big numbers. And the only way that you can sell them on in big numbers is if you're producing something odd or weird, left field, strange. As far as if there's pros or cons to breeding from your perspective, it's another experience, another feather in the cap, another thing you've done. Cons are, with the species you suggested, it's a flooded market. I wouldn't bother to breed something else instead. With regards to hybridization, there's zero need to do it in this day and age. I don't understand it. I have a problem nowadays with the marketing of super dwarfratic morphs. I have a beef with that because all of the morphs originated in mainland, so they're not super dwarfs, they're mutts that have been crossed. They're little dwarf pygmy island forms that have been abused to be able to make shiny, bright coloured things that are only 7-8 feet long. And I worry about the sliding scale of influence between mainland and dwarf, and is somebody going to get kippered by it ending up with something that's 10-11 foot. And I think that we've got to pay a bit more attention to that sort of stuff. There is a flavour, an upswell about nature. The natural look is best. Nature got it right. And as time goes on, I'm beginning to agree with that more and more. I'm not morphist. I'm not against morphs. Some morphs are amazing. A good albino retic is, God, what a good looking snake. Amazing looking snake. Albino rosy boa, again, fabulous. I think that maybe we forgot about what got us into the stuff in the first place. It isn't about world's first and how much something sells for. They're naturally stunning anyway. You look at a Chihuahua Mountain King, you look at a Mandarin rat, you look at a 100 flower rat, you look at a Thai bamboo rat snake, a really good speckled king. There's not much that can touch them. There is not much that can touch them. And the morphs invariably with those snakes don't complement them because they're just about as stunning gets anyway. So yeah, for me, there's a move back to nature. A good Irian Jaya carpet or West Papuan carpet is a good looking snake with all the oranges and the blacks, really pretty. They're a manageable size. They're fantastic animals, but they're prolific, producing 25-30 eggs. The babies are invariably psychopathically aggressive, and that poses us issues for resale. So you've got to bear that stuff in mind. This isn't really about me promoting or detracting from breeding. It's not for me to have a say. I can't dictate to you what you do with your hobby. Any of you, it's your hobby. But if you ask me a direct question specifically, as Paul has done, I will do my best to answer straight and true about what I feel to be the case. So those are my thoughts on it. We'll be back soon with another question to answer on Chaz's No Bullshit Reptile Advice. Cheers. Bye now.